today we're going to do something that I've been using in the office that is just been amazing. It's a procedure that lifts the whole face. For people who are in my practice, we know that I love the PDO threads. They really do lift the face tremendously. And Jessica is allowing us to let you guys take a peek at what's going on with these. So I use Sculptra with the threads in combination to hold the threads in place longer, because when you see the lift that we get with the face, you're gonna want these threads to kind of last forever. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna be putting a little Sculptra in the scalp area, which is going to widen this part of the face, which will give a younger appearance. When I'm working on faces, one of the most important things that I do is I shape the face, because shaping the face is really how we start looking pretty. Now, Jessica is very pretty anyway, so it's not like we really have to add to her, but this will actually help her give a little bit softer appearance. I know she's feeling like her face is looking a little tired out, and that's why she is volunteering for this particular procedure. Here we go. Gotta get in here, and this is going to be a little Sculptra in here. I use cannulas for pretty much everything because the cannulas are much less traumatic to the tissue. There are a lot of nerves in this area, so we want to be gentle. We want to kind of lift the area out a little bit with the Sculptra. Sculptra is actually a powder that we have turned into a liquid. The liquid kind of pops the tissue up, but it also numbs the area really nice. So you can kind of see it kind of lift out a little bit. And I want to put a little bit more higher because I really want the width to be a little stronger in her temple area. Not directly in here, because I don't want her looking guyish, and sometimes you see people filled in that area and they kind of look a little funny. There we go, here we go. So I usually use a vial of Sculptra, half on one side, half on the other, and then I use the threads. Okay, so it's not that painful?
No, it's not.
You know, I think when we first started doing threads, the way that they taught us, and if you saw any of my previous videos, it was more across the face. And I really didn't love it because every so often you'd have somebody that pulled funny or it would pucker a little. And when I talk about threads, I tend to use the threads that have the little like fingers on them that pull the tissue. So my liking of threads is really that it lifts. So we want to lift the tissue as much as we can. If I'm going to use something to kind of fill in a space, like some people use them as they would Sculptra, I'd rather use Sculptra. I think Sculptra is a better product. So this is a 20 gauge thread, and I'm going to just feed it into the path that I already had. The tissue is more protected because it's lifted, and there's lidocaine in there, so it doesn't hurt. It will start being a little uncomfortable here. Is it okay?
Perfect. I feel nothing.
Yeah, and if it starts hurting, I just stop and put more lidocaine. In the beginning, we used a little bit less lidocaine, and I think it was too uncomfortable for a lot of people. And myself personally, when I had my threads, I was like, oh, this is kind of sore. I don't like doing that. But you can actually see just pulling from here, and it's going to give her a little bit more sharpness to her cheek. And one of the things we talked about when we were planning on what we were going to do with her was, one, give her a little more width here and give her more strength here. She tends to work out and she stays thin, so she will tend to be a little more skeletal looking. And here we go. And I will tell you, probably this looks fairly simple to you watching this, but it is actually something that is a little, because I do this all day long every day, it is not as simple as it looks to learn it, but it is actually a pretty simple procedure overall. So far we're probably about 6 minutes into this whole thing, and I'm already done with this one side. Wow, you can already see the lift on this. The sculpting threads in the scalp can cause a little bit of bumps in the scalp, but it's kind of like, that's just part of the doing business with this stuff. You know, there's always a good and a bad. That may be the bad, but who cares? So I just clip it right against the skin, so the threads are still in there. I just take the extra off the end. We're gonna take this and take a look at her.
Oh my god!
And this is the reaction. This is why I still work, actually. It's actually a very typical reaction. You know, we don't realize how impactful shape and looks are for us until we see it. And I swear that we have some sort of endorphin release, because it just, when you see that change, it makes you feel so good about yourself. And again, that's kind of why I still practice, because if I can get these kind of results in 10 minutes. Now, longevity on this, its low side is the longevity, and that's why I started adding the Sculptra, is because threads by themselves, and I would use them maybe here and here to kind of pull the face up and out. I don't like them, like I said, in here, because sometimes you see them and they do replace themselves with collagen, so you might even get a little puffy spot where they were laying underneath. Will add a little bit more to the longevity. So it definitely, to get more longevity, if somebody really has a lot of pull, sometimes I'll use 2 vials, 1 on each side instead of half. But Jessica's young, so she probably will respond well. Sometimes the scalp, because we all know scalps tend to be a little bit more vascular, they can bleed a little bit more. That's kind of just part of it too. And again, it's just the scalp will bleed a little bit more, so you may have a little more tenderness. I will say afterwards, there's a little more tenderness in the scalp area, and it's mostly because this area is pretty tight, meaning skin right against bone. And you can see the cannula going in. You can actually see where it is by me pushing up on this. So cannulas are really, especially the larger ones, are really much safer. The smaller the cannula, the more it's like a needle. And if we are putting this product in this area, this is a lot of nerves, a lot of vessels, and we want to be very respectful to it, but kind of lifting that tissue off pads the area, so when I put the threads in, it's not an issue. So she is definitely a good model because she's already gorgeous, and she's not old, but we all feel the age a little, and this is why we really want to do this. And here we go. I kind of do the whole area. I want this whole area a little bit wider on her. Again, shape dictates how we perceive age and beauty. So shape is so important. You can, unfortunately, we have so many names for shapes that are not nice. Like if somebody has like no chin, it definitely gives them a huge disadvantage. And you can think of it. There's a lot of names people put to stuff like that, and it's unfortunate, but unfortunately, beauty is what we are driven for in this world. So I'm just following the same path. But if it hurts, I just stop, but I put a little lidocaine in if I have to. So it's going into the cheek, but it's more anchored higher up. The reason I came up with this one is I was in my bathroom pulling on my face, and this is how it might look if you don't know that this is the way it's not supposed to look. You might left it that way, but it's just a matter of just running the finger and it just pops it so it doesn't look like it's puckering. So here we go, we're putting the second one in, and I'm just angling it a little bit different than the other one. This one went more that direction, so I'm going to kind of go a little bit more. I do follow path of least resistance. If it follows one way, it's still going to lift. I'm not concerned. I just don't want to end up having it round up in her face, and I'm just talking purely technical stuff here. It wouldn't look bad, but I want it pretty even from what the other one looks like. But this one kind of lifts up. Anyway, I was in my bathroom just lifting my face, like, oh my gosh, I need to lift it. But I want to have it at a higher point instead of just right in here. We don't pull our face this way when we say we want a facelift. We say this way. So pulling it up really does show you more the direction that we want it to go. Any little teeny minor puckering things that you see, they actually just go away after a couple, just a little massage. So those are simple. And she is really done. Yeah. Alrighty, show her.
Can I look in the
All
mirror? Oh my god.
Yeah.
Dr. Allenby. Oh my god. I look like I was
See?
in my 20s again.
So this is pulling up here. It's pulling up all of this. I can put threads this way. I can put threads this way in addition to. She has a little bit of bruising in the cheek here where the thread went in. It kind of looks like you see something, but it's gonna all go away. This will all just be perfect. Nobody will notice this one.
I'm gonna cry.
No, this looks so pretty. Alrighty, so that's scalp, Sculptra, and some threads.